Welcome back to the Sports Source. We're just listening to the loud rain come down on the roofs here. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Today is the final day for the boat show at Knoxville, at the Knoxville Convention Center. Folks, get down there, meet the gang from Madisonville Marine that I've been telling you about for all these years. See their selection for yourself and get the absolute best deals of the year. Madisonville Marine, there's no better place to buy a boat, and today that place is at the Knoxville Convention Center. Get down there.
I need a boat in my yard.
That's right. All right, going to show you some Final Four history combined with this year's stats. Next segment, we'll look at some pretty good stuff. This segment, you might not like it as much. Let's go ahead and take a look at top 10 adjusted defense. Now, this is Ken Pomeroy. Lots of basketball insiders believe in this guy. Lots of coaches believe in this guy. Mark Pancratz is a big fan of this guy. This is where he ranks just defensive efficiency. This is the top 10 AP teams in the country. On the left, that's their top 10 rank. And on the right is their ranking going into last night. All right, now, Tennessee dropped 11 points last night. They're now number 53 in defensive efficiency. You see that they played Gonzaga, who was 21st. Tennessee won that one. They played Kentucky, who was 8th. Tennessee lost that one. But of those top 10 teams, the worst defense there, Tennessee. Now, what does that matter? Let's take a look at that. I went back and looked at Pomeroy's defensive rankings for each of the Final Four teams from the last 5 years. So Final Four adjusted defense. The eventual champion is listed on the far left. What you see is that only 4 teams, Kansas, Loyola Chicago, Wisconsin, Kansas, Wisconsin again, and Kentucky. Only 4 teams out of those 20 ranked below 30, outside the top 30 in defense. Only Kansas at 47 was higher than Tennessee's defensive rank as of last night. There at the bottom, the average rank 16.2. Again, Tennessee's current rank has dropped to 53. Not a death knell. Teams have made it, but you tell me.
According to what you got there, they haven't.
Well, not 53 they haven't, but that ballpark with Kansas at 47. And my guess is Tennessee won't finish at 53.
Right.
But here's the thing. Do you buy this stat? Is this a worrying stat to you, this defensive efficiency, or stats are for losers?
No, I think that's worrisome.
Yeah, I do too. Now, I'm interested to see the offensive stats you're going to show here in another segment.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
I'm going to show another stat, but it's not going to be offensive efficiency.
You look at, a lot of people don't think of North Carolina as a good defensive team, but look at them. 2017, they were, number 11. Duke, number 11. So, yeah, I think that's a valid stat.
And here's the thing. You look at last year, if you remember, why we kept bragging on that team last year and saying this team could make a deep run in the tournament. They were number 5 for most of the year in those defensive rankings. Yeah. And I showed those graphics week in and week out last year saying these are the teams that make it. These top 5 teams always make it. And Tennessee could have made it if Alexander doesn't get hurt. To me, this is a big concern. Your thoughts?
I think it's worrisome, but one thing that I think Tennessee has struggled with, except for the Kentucky game, is that there have been some games where they had a pretty significant halftime lead, and in the second half, teams would shoot 52% or 57%. Now, you look at Duke, and Duke's blowing out people, so their defensive numbers are still good. But I think Tennessee at times has relaxed a little bit on defense. But that number is a bit of a concern.
Yeah, and what has Rick Barnes been harping about for the past 2.5 weeks, even though you've been ranked number 1 and you've been winning, is
specifically
defense.
He's been on the,
and it's that old cliche, defense travels.
Yeah,
and you get into tournament time, it really travels. So you got to get back to who you are.
Yeah, now, here's the thing. This isn't a bad defense. It's still top 40, top 50 in the country in terms of most defensive stats out of 330 teams. That's a pretty good defense. It's just not.
It's not going to get you to where you want to go.
It's not where you want to go. The interesting thing, though, it's the same roster as last year. How do you go from 5th nationally in defensive efficiency to 50th?
I know what Grant Williams says. He says that last year they were terrible offensively, but really focused and good defensively. This year he feels like they're much improved offensively, and their defense has suffered some. And you see a couple of guys jogging back. That would be one of my things about somebody sit down.
The hard thing there is how many times have we heard Mark Pancratz or Don DeVoe back when he was with us, or even Dane Bradshaw when he was with us, talk about the fact that, well, when the offense is going, that gets you playing better defense. I can see it both ways. So I get what Grant Williams is saying. I don't know that there's a simple solution. You got the same players, and you're not playing with the same defensive.
And here's another thing I would say, too, real quick.
Okay, let somebody else in here, too.
If you play really hard, tough defense, what are the chances you're going to pick up a couple of fouls and be pulled out of the game? That happens more times than not.
All right, we got 20 seconds. Anybody else want to?
I've wondered if they've become a little more of a finesse team this year. Finesse, trying to say that word, than they were last year, which would not be good for defense.
And it looked like a finesse team last
Boy,
night.
sure
They
did.
got punched in the mouth.
Kind of role reversals last night.
Interesting. Okay. When we come back, if that made you sad, if you look at that, see, look, the truth has no polarity. It's just truth. It's just facts, just numbers. But if you look at that as negative, maybe the next segment you'll view as positive, at least a little bit. Come on back.